kezdeni valamivel, vagy?
Nothing? Yay! Hi everyone. Can you come down please? From the bistro? Cool. So I think we can start. My name is Ágnes, if you don't know me. I'm part of the new organizer team. I hope we can get introduced to each other in more details after the meetup. But let's just start with a guy, Péter Bálint, who will talk about Viper architecture, pros, cons, testing, and samples from production. Welcome, Péter.
Can you hear me without this? If it's okay, I wouldn't use it. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Okay, so hello everyone, my name is Péter Bálint. Well, I have a little outsourcing company, not as big as Epam, but next year maybe. So now I'm gonna talk about Viper architecture. As you can see, it's something like MVVM, but with some additional features. So, as the name suggests, it's about the cooperation between views, interactors, presenter, entities, and routers. First, I would like to talk about views. Views are an interface which describes the UI in terms of what it can do and what kind of events can it emit. You can, if you have ever developed an application with a UI, I guess you know what is a view like. It consists of an event handler, which basically forwards the event, and configuration and update methods. Here you can see an example of that. There's the report view with an event handler and some update and configuration methods. Basically, it's just an interface. I think you are already familiar with the terms, and that's it. Nothing fancy, nothing special. If you want to, make this view alive, in an iOS world, you make a certain UI view controller conform to that protocol, and that's it. So that means that you have an iOS implementation of the view, which can receive update methods, configuration methods, and through an event handler, it can forward certain events, like it needs update, certain items selected, and stuff like that. In the update method, you can think something like self.titleLabel.text equals something, for example. So there's no fancy stuff here. It's the only restriction, which is a strict one, that view only works with basic data types like strings, floats, and collections, arrays. Basically, that's it. Luckily, Swift has a nice new feature, tuples, which can help a lot, and I find this place the best place to use those. So it's really a good thing. And then there are the interactors usually describe a use case or a bunch of use cases. I wrote a note there because if you check for existing Viper or sample Viper solutions in the internet, usually you can find different opinions of how interactors should be, constructed. Maybe you can think of an interactor as a certain use case, like selecting. So, anyways, like a simple use case, and you would like to, or the goal of the interactor is to, encapsulate that use case, do all the business logic and update stuff in there. And usually an interactor is just a POYO. I can't really translate that to Swift, but I guess the idea is just a simple object. And the interactor, yet again, is an interface describing the business logic in terms of programming. So you can say load next report page, for example, or cancel ongoing request operations or network operations, stuff like that. Obviously, an object like that has a lot of dependencies, like the services, the stores, stuff like that. So you should inject those through the constructor, for example. But if you use a more sophisticated architecture, you can, I don't know, some dependency injection framework or stuff like that. You can also use that. In order for the interactor to say when its job is done, it needs an output. Output is basically an interface again, which says that okay, report interactor, for example, did finish updating report, or on report update finished. I don't know which one is more swiftly. I could not decide that, but and actually report should be optional, but that's a mistake. And presenters. Presenters are the mediators, I don't know, between views and interactors, which translate view events into interactor language and interactor output into view updates and view calls. So basically, what it does is just a data transformation, and that's it. These three are the essence of Viper, basically, and the interaction between them is what you have to understand. And if you use it, it's gonna make a lot of sense. So basically, if you think about an application, let's say Facebook mobile application, and you launch the application, you have a login window, and in there's let's say a login view which describes that login window, and obviously you need a login view interface which describes that, and there's going to be something like login view on login request, and you pass a username and a password, and that is passed to the presenter. The presenter actually has nothing to do with that, because that's quite simple, and the presenter passes that to the login interactor object, asking it to set that interactor login, and you pass the username and password. When the interactor is done with the job, it's going to say to the presenter that okay, login on login finish, and it's going to pass an authentication token, or I don't know, whatever. Then the presenter knows that the login flow is actually successful, and it can tell the view that okay, show the next input thing, or show the next or update the view, update some enable state or stuff like that. So that's the basic idea behind Viper view interactor and presenters. And if you here in this example, you can see a concrete one. Let's say that we have a report presenter. Obviously, report presenter conforms to report view event handler and report interactor output. You can see that, well, basically it's straightforward. if the interactor is done with something, it notifies the presenter. If the view received an event, it notifies the presenter. So as you can see, it acts as a mediator. And a little lower at the bottom part, you can see that there are data transformation. Basically, you don't, as I mentioned, you don't want to use high-level object for the view. You don't want to pass NSError object. You don't want to pass report object. So you have to make simple, basic foundation, and actually foundation more like basic stuff like strings, integers from the data, so that the view can be a really dumb object. So it's going to be easy to work with. And here you can see, for example, if you have, let's say, a job, you tell the interactor to, okay, update the report, then the interactor notifies the presenter. And here's a really simplified example. If there was an error, let the view present the error. Or if there was success, then update the view with the given display data. And well, entities, I don't want to talk about entities much. You can consider entities as basic, really basic model objects. The interactor is going to work with them. Like in every application, you just use the entities, use the model objects to describe the world you are in and do certain operations with them. They can actually be core data objects, but you should hide core data. So entities are yet again simple model objects. Swift has a really good way to describe entities, which is struct. And struct has value semantics, which comes really handy and makes the whole system clear. So you don't want to mutate them, you just copy them, for example, you just pass them, and that's it. So whenever you try to describe model objects in Swift, use structs instead of objects. Value semantics are much better, in my opinion. And then there's a little note. I know that it's a shady area, but try not to use core data, because whenever someone uses core data, there's going to be problems, and most of the times it just doesn't worth it. But that's a topic of another talk. So routers and wireframes. The idea behind routers and wireframes is to describe the flow of the application. So, for example, if you have, just imagine like használtauto.hu. So, for example, you have a used car web page, and you would like to construct a mobile application, and you're going to need a login, for example, if you are a registered user. Then you have a main screen where you have the newest cars. Then if you press the filter button, there's going to be a filter overlay, stuff like that. So you can imagine a wireframe going through the splash screen, the login, the home screen. Then you start the filter flow. Then you start your settings flow, whatever. So routers and wireframes are supposed to deal with this. So their only job is to basically handle the navigation. And yet again, there's I really hope you can check Viper and the resources available in the internet. And it sounds really easy, but routers are the most tricky part. And because if you, so the basic concept between iOS in iOS application is that you have a view controller, and you do everything as the view controller appears. You start the logic there, the view controller disappears, you start another logic there. So if you use the built-in containers like navigation controller, top bar controller, and stuff like that, the whole framework makes sure that it deals with the lifetime of those controllers contained within, and that's a tricky part in Viper, because you have a living iOS world and you have something which is not so, well known. So there's an iOS application living, and there's a Viper architecture working on the background. And as you can imagine, basically the views, the concrete implementation of the views are the view controllers. But they are just dumb, in terms of the interface, they are just dumb things which can receive some update methods and forward some events. So the whole other world is existing in another place, and sometimes it's not so obvious, what's the lifetime of certain stuff. Or you can imagine a simple example. You have a splash screen, you have a splash view, you have a splash interactor, a splash presenter, and a splash wireframe. And when you're done with the splash stuff, for example, silent auto login, whatever, you want to present the home screen, for example. So somehow you have to arrive to the home screen in iOS terms. Somehow you have to present that view controller. And that's what routers and wireframes are doing. I should have shown this earlier. So that, you have two options basically. You define a big router object which deals with the dirty stuff and knows about the navigation, or you implement the navigation, the presentation in certain wireframes. So here's an example. It is an extended presenter. So in the end, a Viper architecture is gonna look like this. You have a presenter. Obviously, it knows about the view. Obviously, it has a wireframe. Obviously, it has an interactor. And it's basically the presenter is in the middle, and let's say that we are done with the splash stuff, and we would like to go to the home screen. So then either an interactor is done, and the interactor, through the interactor output, tells the presenter that I'm done, and then the presenter can say, okay, serve that wireframe, present home screen. For example, it's just an example. It's tricky. It's tricky, and usually you start. That's the easy case. When you have a simple wireframe, a simple navigation flow of your application, you can say that you have a router object which is responsible to deal with that stuff. And actually, if you are lucky, you can do it like this, because you're gonna have one object which is a bit dirty, but in our case, it's like 150 lines of code. So even if it's dirty, it's not that hard to manage. But it offloads a bunch of, so it's more comfortable to use rather than deal with the navigation on the wireframes itself. So if you have a simple application, you can try this method or this idea, really straightforward, real easy. You can see that. So I pass the window instance to the router, and then the router, when I say router that present screen splash, then obviously it knows what it should instantiate as a splash, and then there's a splash view controller, so it can insert that view controller to the window itself. So I don't want to go deeply into this stuff, because first you have to implement it to understand what I'm talking about, but basically that's it. Testing is now is another really good benefit of Viper, because this strict separation that you do all the business logic in the interactor, You do all the transformation and the mediation in the presenter. So this means that if you want, how can I, maybe system test, or I don't know how to say that, then you only have to mock the view. So for example, there's a really easy case where I say, okay, I would like to test everything from the view perspective, and because basically that makes sense. And when you do it that way, you actually testing the whole system. So you have a view event like pressing an update button, pressing a load next button, whatever. The event gonna go through the whole system, the interactor is gonna get notified, they're gonna work, the output gonna arrive to the presenter, and the presenter gonna pass the output back to the view. So you can say that, for example, mock view.simulate appearance, and then it does the job. Simulate item selection at index, and it's gonna do it. That way, you almost test the whole application through the UI without actually testing it from the UI. And that's a really powerful part of it. It is from an application which I am working on. Report is basically what I try to explain with the used car example, that you have a query actually about cars, and it's going to present it to the screen. And you can test the whole system with this simple, basically test method. I know that you shouldn't write more than one export assert in a test case, blah blah blah, whatever. But it really makes sense, and it's not a unit test. You can still unit test certain part of the application, which is, which, for example, the logic or stuff like that. But in this way, you can basically drive your whole application through a simple mock view, and it can do the job. And they are super fast. You can actually do integration tests. If you don't mock the services out, then you need an asynchronous case there, not simple like this. But it is actually working, and the first time in my life I wrote actually good tests which does something. So I'm quite happy about it. So whenever you can use Viper, and the stuff that you're gonna find on the internet, I think it's a I don't know. It's too OOP. More OOP than it should be, I guess. So if you use Viper just to have these clear cuts, and it's gonna work like a charm, and you can make sure that you're not gonna have much conflict with your colleagues. You're gonna have a clean architecture which is easy to extend, easy to test, and everything has its clear place. So you're not going to worry about where should you invoke that function, what should do this, what should do that. But also you have to make sure that you do it according to the two best things or the most important things in programming is keep it simple and stupid, and you ain't gonna need it. And if you follow those, Viper can really help. The resources, the problem is that you're not gonna find good resources. Not good resources. Not gonna find much, or so it's not like MVVM or MVC or Reactive Cocoa, whatever. If you Google iOS Viper, there's gonna be, I don't know, 3 or 4, maybe 5, 10 tops articles about Viper. There's gonna be a few repos on GitHub which you can check, but some of them is over-architectured, and hard to understand. So first I tried them, but in the end it turns out that the easier one is more straightforward and more easy to handle. And thank you very much for your attention. Feel free to contact me at peter@vrd.eu. That's my company's domain. And please don't check it yet. There's only adult content right now. So if you have any questions about Viper, please feel free to ask.
Whenever you are using the wireframe to navigate a new screen, a new view, then inside this present home or whatever, there you are creating the new view controller, right? And there you are creating the presenters also, and there you are connecting them to each other.
I don't want to go into details because there's so you either have the wireframe as an entry point to hold that trio, or you can actually make it outside the wireframe. So it's up to you, but something like that. So whenever you say present the next screen, you obviously have to, either say that a wireframe present itself in somewhere, let's say a navigation controller, or if it's a full screen presentation, you pass the view, or if your flow is simple, you can use an object to make this navigation happen.
Yeah, but based on my understanding, the presenter, so nothing should know about the concrete view classes, right?
Yeah.
So the presenters will only just access the views as protocols, and so the only layers who know about the platform-specific classes are wireframes and the views.
Wireframe and the concrete view implementation, exactly. So.
Yeah, I have another question. That so I guess you are using Swift, right?
Yes.
And do you follow TDD or unit testing? I guess you do because you are.
Not TDD, but.
Okay, but you are having tests.
Yeah. And
do you use some kind of mocking frameworks?
No. Mock free for the beginning. No.
So for example, if you want to write a test that presenter calls view protocols specific method, then you create such for every view protocol, we are creating a test view class.
Basically, a mock view.
That's what I meant. And if I want to mock that a specific method is called on that mock view, then how do you assert it into code? All flags or whatever?
No, when you say that, for example, that's if you need let's say report screen, and report screen displays list item, and you say that view.items to display equals that in the mock screen. So you can make an assertion to that list whether it's equal what you would like to be it to equal to.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Any more questions?
Can I ask you about the size of the projects you used to Viper so far? Like how many view controllers or views you had?
One. Well, I don't know. It's like not
smaller
a big
projects.
No, medium. Not small, definitely not small, medium.
And it use composition for views and view controllers, because when I considered using Viper, my biggest problem was that, for instance, when you have a large view controller that you want to divide into smaller view controllers, what do you do? So how do you create multiple views, multiple presenters,
Usually I make a container view controller. For example, in the we have something like imagine you need an application for used car review, and there's a bunch of filters there, and you want to display it on the mobile screen. So when you say show filters, it's going to present a filter container. And first you have a list. If you select an item from the list, there's going to be a detail screen. And that can also work with Viper. So you can say that serve that.
So the container is a separate view in Viper context, and each one of the sub view controllers are also views.
Yeah, exactly.
And how do the views connect on the Viper level?
So you have the container is at the entry point.
Yeah.
And basically, if you think about it, you just say that in terms of filter, you can either set a date, pick a list item, switch a segment, and you can have, like we had maybe 10 subpages. But it all does something from these 4. So you only need 4 event methods that describe what you can do in a view. Either select an item, or select a custom date preset, let's say, or so it might sound. So you can do really simple things on the view only. Maybe not with an application like Prezi, but usually a mobile application is you have an input field, you pick an item from a list, you pass the navigation back, stuff like that. So you can. I have a container that has like 10 subviews, and they also confirm to, or actually in the inside you can define another interface. You just have to make sure that you connect those, and then the container receives the one which is going to be forwarded to the presenter.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, but the principle in this case that if you have a list of views, then behind the scenes for each list item in the view has its own presenter, right?
Well, it's up to you. I think I found it to be more easy and more, straightforward just to have a container, because, the view can be as sophisticated as you want. It's still the Viper view interface is going to be simple, but like in our case, we have a bunch of custom view controller presentation, custom view controller containers, and stuff like that. They are all talking to each other nicely, and in the end, the container is gonna notify the presenter. But obviously, you can do small presenters if that makes more sense. Not a problem.
The views communicate with each other in your case?
Yeah. The view stuff, not the Viper stuff, the view stuff.
Yeah, because in our project we approach this with a different angle. So in our case, everything has its own presenter. So if there is a list, there's a container, it has its own presenter, and each item is also a presenter.
Yeah,
so basically, every communication happens inside Viper, and when something has to be changed or shown or reflected on the UI, then the specific presenter will tell the view to update your stuff. So there isn't really any connection between views.
Sorry guys for the interruption.
Okay.
You can ask Peter after the meetup, I hope, for further questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone.
And we have the next speaker, János Murvai-Gaál from Epam, with reactive extensions, rx.net. He will tell us about data push model, observers, and some samples from production of it. So welcome, János.
Can you hear me now? Because I would like to press the mic. So. Sorry, nothing personal. It's too shiny here. Hello everybody, so I'm János Murvai-Gaál from Hungary, and today I would like to talk about ReactiveX, and if you don't mind, I will stand here or there. Yeah, okay, but those lamp is too So, okay, so about reactive extensions and reactive extension. What is it, and what is it good for. So basically I will talk about the history, the definition, data flow model, data push model, observer pattern, code and observables, and some samples. And I think I need some code. Okay, so about the history of ReactiveX extension. So 6 years ago, we have the RX, and as you can see, it's announced by the Microsoft Dev Lab. And basically for .NET and for Silverlight, and we all know what happened with Silverlight, but still we have .NET here. And as you can see there, on the bottom of this page, there are several guys' names mentioned, and they were the fathers of the ReactiveX extension from .NET. Nowadays, okay, so it was supported by .NET 6 years ago and Silverlight, and nowadays it's supported for Java, JS, .NET, Android, what else? Swift, for example. Okay, what is it good for? So I was hesitating to put this slide because I wasn't sure that this example will be the essence of the ReactiveX extension. So ReactiveX extension can be used for we will see in any manner, not any manner of course, but in this example there is an asynchronous call from a service, and after that it will call the getData3a method from that service in asynchronous way, and it will write the data to the console, and it will happen periodically. So in every 1 second, it will call the service and the method, and it will be write the result to the console. And please do not DDoS the server with 1 sec polling time in real life, but it depends on your wishes. So as you wish. The definition of the ReactiveX extension. So there are 3 definitions for the .NET, for the Java, and for the JavaScript, and 3 words just show up in these definitions. That it's asynchronous, it's event-based, and it's observable. So what does it mean that something is asynchronous? I'm pretty sure that you know that when I'm firing something, it will have a callback method, and it will return with a result, but not in the right time. So basically, that is asynchronous. What does it mean that event-based? Event-based means that we can be pretty sure that if we fire the event 1, fire the event 2, and fire the event 3, it will arrive in the same order. So event 1 will arrive first time, and the event 2 arrive second time, the result, and event 3 will arrive at the third time. So that is what event-based means here. And I will talk about the observable a little bit later. Okay, so that is it. The data push and data pull, I'm pretty sure that the data pull is familiar to everybody here. Data push is not the opponent, but it has an opposite view, let's say that. So in case of pull, the target must ask the source to please give me data, and the source will give the data to the target. And in this case, the source is the server and the target is the client. But in case of push, the source will notify the target that, hello, I have a new data for you, and please use it as you want. So in this case, the source is the publisher and the target is the subscriber. It's a PubSub, if you know that. Okay. Some pros and cons, and of course it's not a full list of pros and cons. In case of pull, the pros that it's easy to get data at the target side. I'm just saying, hello, I need data, and the server will provide that. Easy to understand the mechanism. Of course, hello, I need data, and it happens just. But at the client side, we will definitely need tons of polling mechanisms to proceed the data. I mean, to process the data. So I think it's a con because, you know, custom implemented polling methods are maybe not so good, but it depends on the developers, of course. In case of push, no need to poll the source for data. You know, because the source will provide you the data. Easy to publish the data to multiple targets. And yeah, it's complicated to handle. I mean, when we are developing in reactive extension, a bit reactive extension, we definitely think about the threats. And I hope I can explain it later. But the another cons of the reactive extension that is a relatively higher threshold of understanding how is it working, what is the mechanism behind the reactive extensions. Okay, the observer pattern, which is the base of this reactive extension. You know, I'm sure that you are familiar with that, and there is a link you can read further info about the observer pattern. But basically, we have an observer and observable, and we have an observer. Observable is the publisher, and observer is the subscriber. And as you can see, the notify and the update methods there, basically that is the magic there. So observable will provide the data to the observer. It's basically, who is familiar with Java, it's some listener stuff, so something like that. Okay, and some code and code observable. So first of all, when we are talking about and when we are working with reactive extensions, we are manipulating and we are using data streams or data sequence. A data sequence, what you can see there. So data can arrive in a various time. So it won't be arrive like in case of metronome, but it will arrive sometimes. You know, the server will publish the data for you. So it depends on the it depends on the source. And the data type can be anything, really, what you want. It depends on you. What is the data type of the data that you want to provide with a custom publisher. So the difference between the code and code observable is it's relatively easy. A code observable, in case of a code observable, we have several subscribers subscribe to the data stream. And we have subscriber 1, 2, and 3, and they have subscribed to the data stream. And it doesn't matter that which is the time when they have subscribed. I mean, it's 10 o'clock or 7 o'clock or something like that. In every time, the same result and the same data stream will provide it to that subscriber. So if subscriber 1 subscribes to the data stream, the result will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and after that, I don't know, in 10 minutes later, the subscriber 2 will subscribe to the data stream. The same result will happen. Okay, what is it good for? In any static list, distribution list, or maybe a countdown if you want to build a rocket, not your garden, or I don't know. The hot observable, that is the difference, but in case of hot observables, the time matters. So when subscriber 1 subscribes to that data stream, you can see the result is 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 6, 7. But when subscriber 3 subscribes to the data stream, it's just 4, 5, 6, 7. The typical samples here is the mouse move, or the data from sensors, speed, temperature, whatever, so you can get the point. And some samples, and I don't know how many time I have. So, first of all, let's check this one. So basically, what is happening here, let me execute this application or this console app. So as you can see soon, and of course is needed to build. So you can see that what I was talking about, this is the items, I mean the next item of the observable. So basically what is happening here, that we have an observable here and the range from 30 and it will have 10 items. So we are just creating here a called observable. And after that we just subscribe to that observable, and in every next period, because the observable will push the data for us, in every period it will write to the console that this is the next item, and if some exception happens, it will be handled in this way, and it will be complete. I don't know, can you see properly? Okay. Okay. So tell me if not. Okay, let's check the example 2. And after that, I promise there will be more interesting thing here. So as you can see, it iterated through the items that we just generated, and after that the completed event happened, and disposed, and finally action happened. And how is this thing working? That basically we can create an observable at any time, and as you can see there are several subjects here, and I just call the uncompleted. And one important thing that I forget to mention, that every time when we are using reactive extensions, there are 3 main events can be handled. The onNext, which is the data provided by the source and every time, and the uncompleted, which means that, okay, I have finished the signaling, let's say that, and if some error happens, it's the on error. Okay, so when we subscribe to a data stream, we not must, but it's good to handle those events, and we can handle it with subscription. So basically, what we can see before, it was some onNext, and here happened the uncompleted, which means that I have finished the signaling the data, and yeah, basically that's all. I don't know, was it understandable or was it clear for the first time, but I really hope. So let's see an example, I mean another example that, yeah, I have a Twitter client here, and as you will see, it just downloaded my work, and there are several functionality here. I'm just saying that I have already read all tweets, and I really hope someone will tweet something to my wall, and we will see that it will be appear, and it will be happening just in time. So, and another feature that when I'm scrolling down here, it will be paging. So when I enter here, the new tweets has been loaded, and behind this mechanism is the X, of course. So that's it. Let's see that how is it working and what is it under the hood. So I have a Twitter client and feed timer here. So basically, yeah. So I have a class here, a tweet timer, which is nothing more but a metronome, and it has an iSubject property, which is just a private member timer, and when I'm starting this timer, it will start immediately, but it will periodically signals data. And currently I don't care the data here. I'm just putting one to the all next because I'm using this tweet timer as a metronome for getting data from that tweet service. Okay, and at the stop, it's easy. You just dispose the internal timer and saying that the status is stop. Delay is not important right now. And yeah, and we have some view models here. And tweet view model. So in the tweet view model, I'm using this tweet timer, and you will see down here that, yeah. So the tweet timer subject is the provided property of the, so that is the metronome basically, and I'm every on next event, which is the signal, I'm just downloading the new tweets. If some error happens, I'm just writing to the console, and if it's finished, I'm just writing to the debug console that it's finished. So basically, this is the polling mechanism of the server. How am I using the servers? Okay. Yeah. Oh, and it will be a new feed sometimes. And okay, so that is an interesting thing here, that you remember that when I scroll down to the tweet list, it just loaded the tweets. I mean the older tweets, and basically that is an observable. So I'm creating a data sequence from the mouse, not the mouse, but the scroll changed event. So when I'm scrolling down, a data sequence will be generated, and I'm just subscribed to that data sequence, which is the scroll move. And when it's on the bottom, which is this is the if what determines that it is on the bottom, I'm just signaling that, hey, please load more tweets. And basically that is the magic and the trick here. And okay, I'm not so here. So basically that what I was mentioned here with ReactiveX expansion, and yeah, that's it. And I'm ready for questions if you have some. Yeah.
In the beginning of the presentation, you mentioned that this push and pull models, and here, yeah, you are using Rx, but you are polling, right? So you are pulling.
Yeah.
But does Twitter provide any kind of push mechanism like Signal or WebSockets or something which you could incorporate in your example?
Basically, oh, and it's working. Cool. So basically, you can create. Sorry, but those lamps are really disturbing. So basically, I'm polling. I'm just creating a polling mechanism, and I'm just creating a data sequence based on that polling mechanism. But of course, you can create an iSubject type property, which is nothing more but an observable. So you can use it as a data sequence generator as well. So what you have seen on that screen is nothing more but a transformer from the polling. I mean from the poll to push.
Yeah, I understand that, but my question was that if I have this possibility, so does Twitter provide any kind of push mechanism? So when you don't have to poll, but you you just subscribe. Or
Yeah,
like Signal or WebSockets.
Yeah, you can create your web API interface, or you can create your server interface as a push mechanism with the iSubject. iSubject is nothing more but an observable. So if you're providing an iSubject type method, or service endpoint at your service, it means that it is observable. So at the server side, you can push the data via that iSubject property, via that iSubject type method, and at the client side, you just subscribe to that method or property, and that's all. And you have the push.
This iSubject is just a custom interface, or this is just this has a special meaning?
So the iSubject. Yeah, and where is it? This button, Peter Bálint, or Peter Bálint. So the iSubject is just an interface, but you have several implementation of that interface. Sorry, just a sec. So you can create async subject, behavior subject, replace subject, and subject as easy. So if you want, the replace subject is nothing more but an in-place buffer. So at the server side or the source side, you're just pushing the data. A subscriber subscribes, and it will get the data. But you can say that in case of replace subject, I want the buffer size in 10. So the next subscriber will get the last 10 items from the list as well. So it's like a window data sequence with a history. I don't know much about the behavior subject, and that's the subject. I think it's obvious that it will not be returned at the same time. Thank you. You're very welcome. Another question?
Another thing, you mentioned the pool mechanism in the theory at the beginning of your presentation.
Yeah.
You told about that with the pool mechanism, it's needed to notify the source who subscribed to the data first that the data is ready to put that down. In the couple of first slides, there was differentiating between the two mechanisms, the push and the pull. And in the pull mechanism, you told us that it's needed to notify the ones who subscribe, the target ones.
If I said that, I was wrong, because in the case of pull mechanism, you will ask the server every time, so the server will not notify you. So if I said that, I was wrong.
Yeah.
In case of push, the server will notifies you, and not notifies you, but via the iSubject property, let's say that, and via the on next event, you will get the data. You have already subscribed to the data sequence, so you will get the data in the on next period. So if I said that in case of pull, it will be notified, I was wrong, sorry.
Nothing.
Any other question? Yeah.
How would you solve canceling operations that you fire up using observables? So is there any built-in cancellation mechanism?
Yes, it's pretty easy. You just say that it's uncompleted, like I was mentioning.
Yeah, I know that I can unsubscribe from the stream. What I meant was that, is there any mechanism to actually stop that request, for example, mid-flight? So for example, I want to achieve canceling an ongoing network operation when I unsubscribe from the stream. So I'm not caring about the results. I want that request to be stopped.
I'm not sure that I understand properly. So you are on the target side, you have already subscribed to a data stream.
Yes.
On the client side, you wanna unsubscribe from the data stream.
Yeah.
Okay, you just call the dispose, or you just call the finally. I think.
Well, that's fine, but will that potentially stop the network operation as well?
Maybe I should show it. So, okay, we have an observable here. Yeah. think I got your point. So you want to interrupt?
Interrupt, yeah.
Okay, there is a do mechanism, and you can interrupt in every time with the do method. I will show you. Somewhere here lies, or not here, but in another example. But basically, you can say tons of things here, especially a do. I said do, or not here. Somewhere here. But you can interrupt with the do to the data stream. But if you want to cancel your data stream, I mean you want to unsubscribe, you just call the dispose, and that's it. Okay. You're very welcome. Anything else? In that case, thank you very much. And of course, I forgot to mention that there are several links, but it will be shared with you, and you can check my code as well. So, thank you.
So, our last speaker is Csaba Szigeti from LogMeIn. He will share his journey of developing Join Me for Apple Watch, and hopefully we will see a live demo as well. So, welcome, Csaba.
Hello guys, thanks for being with us today. As already mentioned, I am Csaba Szigeti from LogMeIn, one of the developers, senior software engineers of LogMeIn, to be more exact. I have made a mistake today. Today I installed iOS 9 on my iPhone, and this means that I won't be able to do any real live demo here today. But to fix this, I wrote some videos. I'm not sure if I can get some sound out of the screens, but I'm sure that you can hear the sound from my computer instead. So we decided to implement Apple Watch support. I have a nice hat, so I won't see the lights. It's much better. We decided to implement Apple Watch support for Join Me iOS. What do we do with Apple Watch? So I don't know if you already know what is Join Me about, but you can create some presentations using that tool. We have VoIP solutions as well. Just today we have released the video conferencing solution as well. So it's a really nice end-to-end solution for online presentation. You can share your screen, share documents from iOS devices, and talk with each other meanwhile. Send files to each other and so on. But the main functionality is screen sharing and talking with each other. There are some side features. For example, you can schedule meetings. And I'm mentioning this because we added support for showing up the scheduled meetings on the Apple Watch. And of course, Apple Watch notifies you in case if you will have a meeting in some minutes, and you can even start the meeting from your device, from your Apple Watch as well. As you can see, I have an Apple Watch here and another watch on my another arm. This one is for fun. It's for sports, and it's a really cool sports watch. And this one is just for work. So. But it's really funny to wear two watches. This is not so much fun, I can tell. There are some bugs. So you can start your meetings, and you can start your meetings in a way that you can connect into the audio session, of joining session, using two ways. One of the ways is connecting via VoIP solution, and the another one is calling our conference lines using landline phones. And so the Apple Watch can start your meeting, and at the same time it can trigger a callback to your phone, and it can and if you pick up the phone, you are instantly connected to the conference call using landline phone solution. So mostly this is what we implemented for Apple Watch. There is a nice video about this. The iPhone, so you can reach the same functionalities on the iPhone as well. This advertisement won't show the functionalities of the Apple Watch, but you can do just the same on the Apple Watch as well.
With its new app for the iPhone, Join Me makes starting your meetings even easier. Now you can start collaborating with the single touch of a button. Join Me will automatically call you on your office phone or cell phone. And it will even start the meeting on your desktop or laptop. And it's perfect for meetings on the go. With unlimited audio and superior screen sharing, Join Me lets you see what's being shared and discussed, even zoom in clearly and crisply. Join Me, simple, instant online meetings.
So, the Apple Watch application is mostly about this. Today, I would like to concentrate not only on the general topics which you can already find on the internet. There are a lot of general topics around there, but none of them mentions any real life problems. And I would like to save a lot of time for you if you ever decide to develop for Apple Watch. You can save a lot of time for yourself if you run through these slides, because there are a lot of issues. And fortunately, Apple came out with Apple WatchOS 2, and that solved some issues, and that almost made my presentation worthless. But fortunately, there are still some bugs in Apple WatchOS 2 as well, which still lives, so I can talk about something for you today. So I would like to concentrate on these real-life problems, and I would like to recommend some solutions for these. We haven't had any real hardware when we decided to develop for the Apple Watch itself. It wasn't possible to get one. And we still had to give the ability for our manual QA guys to be able to test the application itself. To achieve this, we had to implement a new application which can use one of the new features of Xcode. Fortunately, with Xcode 6, a new feature appeared, a new command line tool, which is called simulator controller. You can use that to install simulator builds and launch applications and reset the contents of the simulator, so you can control everything which can be related to the simulator. The The Apple Watch applications can run in multiple modes, notification mode, glance mode, and so on. You can read about these general topics on the internet. But, fortunately, it is possible to use same controller wrapper to launch the application in these different states as well. Using the sync controller wrapper is possible if you launch it from the terminal only, but that's not a really nice solution for a manual tester. So I decided to wrap this sync controller wrapper tool, and all our manual QA guys use that tool to install the Apple Watch application as well, and they used simulator for testing for the time being without any real hardware. But there were some issues with that. For example, Apple came out with iOS 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and once 8.3 was out, the application suddenly started to decided that he won't want to launch anymore in this simulator. You have been able to see that the application launch created a crash log using the console application on Macintosh. And based on that, we have been able to see that there are some problems with the OS version, but we didn't know how to fix it since we set the correct target requirements in our project settings. And as it turned out, we had to add sorry, I was talking about this. We had to add a new element to our plist file, and it is minimum OS version. And minimum OS version can be selected from the drop-down list in the plist editor, which is really funny because this is required to be able to launch the application using the 8.2 simulator. So this was the first really annoying issue. Head back to the previous one. So now our manual QA guys have been able to launch the application, to test it, even with iOS 8.2. But when they decided that they would like to launch a session, they couldn't do that. Nothing happened. And when we tried to debug what can cause this, we saw that the application suddenly paused the execution. If you use an Apple Watch and you send a request to the iPhone application, to the company and iPhone application, you can of course, with Apple Watch 2, send requests from the watch itself as well, but using watchOS 1, you couldn't do that. You had to ask the company and iOS application to execute a request for you for your watch, and you just got back the results, and you could do anything with it as you decided. But there are two cases. One of the cases is that the company and iOS app can already be running, and the another case is that it isn't running yet. If it isn't running yet, the Apple Watch launches the application in a very new mode. The application launches. You can see based on the process list that it is running, but you can't see any UI. And in this case, the application is running in the background. As it turned out, it is running in the background, just like when you just simply run an iPhone application and put it in the background. And the reason of the execution pause was that simply we had to call the method, which I think that most of you already know, the begin background task expiration handler to ask some more time for execution from the iOS operating system. But it wasn't really obvious for the first time, and we had to scratch our head just a little bit. The second one, as I already mentioned, you can launch the application in the background using Xcode and your Apple Watch. But since you are running your Apple Watch application, you won't be able to debug the company in iOS app. So you won't be able to really debug the launch of the company in iOS app. But fortunately, it is there is an option for that, which you can use to do that. And that is the debug menus attached to process thing. And you can give your process name and connect to the iPhone application meanwhile it's launching. So this way you are able to debug your application. You could already reach this functionality. It did not came in with the Apple Watch, but you can use this for the Apple Watch as well. I've already mentioned that I wrote wrapper around the SIM controller. It is a Finder extension. You can find it's open source. And so the source code is ugly, I know, but I just had to create something in 5 minutes, and this is what came out of that. You can reach that on GitHub under my account. It's SZIGETICS, and the project is SIM controller wrapper. So. We have been able to create our application. Everything was working just fine, and we wanted to be sure that at the time when we will want to release the application, we wanted to be sure that we won't get rejected for any reasons. And this is the reason why we tried to submit the application, because we really wanted to release it. And it turned out that there were some problems with the binary itself. How many of you are using Xcode server for your builds? Or are you creating your builds from, how many of you are iPhone, iOS developers? And are you creating your builds using Terminal, Xcode server, and Jenkins, or TeamCity, or any other build environment, it seems. I am happy about this, because this means that there is some value in my presentation. Because if you would like to sign your application, your iPhone application, if you are developing for iPhone, I'm almost sure that you already know that you have to sign your application to be able to submit it into the App Store. Of course, we have signed Join Me iPhone before and a lot of other applications as well. But if you create an Apple Watch application, you have to create an extension into your iPhone application, and the Apple Watch can communicate with this extension. And you have to separately sign the extension, and you have to separately sign the Apple Watch application as well. So you have to use 3 different profiles for code signature. Of course, we have set it up, and Apple, we asked Apple how it is possible to do this from the command line, because from the command line you can pass only one profile. And they told us that just use Xcode server, it will be working fine. But we are creating many loads of products at LogMeIn. We are targeting loads of platforms, so we didn't want to introduce any new build server architecture into our build server processes. So we still wanted to be able to build from terminal and not use Xcode server for this purpose. We digged through the developer forums, and it turned out that it's possible to build the application using terminal. You just don't have to pass any profiles to Xcode build, but instead you have to configure your project settings to use the different profiles for the different targets. And for the first time, when we created the build server support, all of the developers mentioned that you have to create an archive, and you have to use the Xcode build export IPA with original code sign identities. There is a switch for Xcode build which can do this. But that caused the issue, at least partially. And it turned out that we don't have to create archives. Creating archives meant that we have to create clean builds, and our builds took much more time than before to get done. So we wasn't really happy with that. But we can just use Xcode build command, and we don't have to create an archive. We can just have to set up the project to use the correct profiles, and the build just gets done using that. But if you try to submit this application, it won't be correct. You have to add this binary into your application. So you have to modify your build application, which means that, of course, the code signature will be broken. It's really funny that you have to do this by hand to add this binary, but it is required to be able to submit into the App Store without rejection. You can find this binary in the Xcode app, but it's required to be able to submit into the App Store, but it's really funny. So after this, we had to resign our application, and to be sure that we won't make this, so this problem won't happen again in the future, we have added some validation steps into our build server processes, and you can find that under GitHub as well, under iOS build validation steps. But I can recommend using Xcode server instead. In the futures, you have maybe you have been able to see that we did this WWDC 2015 some days ago. Apple mentioned, for example, that there is a new ability, a new feature in Xcode, and stuffs around Xcode called app slicing. And of course, today you are able to generate universal builds, but using app slicing, you are able to download just that slices of the application which is required for your current device. So, for example, you won't have to download ARMv7 and ARM64 builds binaries for on your device to be able to run the application. You are able to do that using Xcode server and app slicing. So in the future, it seems for me that Apple is counting on people using Xcode server, and for example, you won't be able to reach this functionality in the app slicing, and you would be able to generate your builds much easier using Xcode server. So I recommend using that, and these works aren't required if you use Xcode server. So this is my recommendation. Thanks for listening. Do you have any questions?
I don't know if it's about
tested it yet. The question was how many Apple Watch downloads do we have? I really don't know. But I would tell if I know.
Is it, let me have another question, or are there anyone? Is the watch fast? I mean, if you're writing an application, do you have to especially be careful, for example, for the UI not to lag or anything?
Since the Apple Watch doesn't really send any request out yet, it will be possible only using Apple Watch OS 2. It's just used to show some UIs for the user, and of course that's really fast. It is just sending requests through the accompanying iPhone application. So yes, it's fast. It's really fast. You don't have to care about this. But there are some fun things. For example, if you receive a notification, you can decide which UI you would like to show for that notification. Default notification UI or some custom one. And if you decide to show a custom one, and if you don't return with the custom value in something like 3 seconds, it will show the default UI. So there are things like this, but I think that you have to put in some sleeps if you would like to test these cases, because the Apple Watch itself is really fast.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, guys?
It seems we are ready for the pizza and beers. We really hope it's already arrived. So thank you everyone for coming, and presentations will be uploaded to the site. So stay tuned. Thanks.